Hi, this is Helena, and I'm here with Tom again today.
Hey everyone.
And in this video, we're going to be sharing the number one thing that makes a man see you as his soulmate, or that one special woman that he never wants to live without. If this is your first time to my channel, make sure to click the button to subscribe to get all of my latest videos, and make sure to stay till the end of this video because we're going to be sharing some really practical tips that you can apply to your unique situation to help attract your soulmate. So Tom, let's jump in. What's the first thing you want to say on this topic?
Well, you mentioned soulmate, and the first thing I'll say is that I never really believed in the idea of soulmates until you and I met.
Oh.
And I think part of that was that even if I thought that there was, a hypothetical soulmate, I thought that the practical application to my life or anyone's life was questionable because there are billions of people on the planet, and you're talking about this supposed one individual who is your soulmate, and how do you ever find that person, or how do you know when you found that person? What does that compatibility actually feel like? How do you recognize that? And I thought that was a completely impossible task. So, why really even dwell on that? Mm-hmm. And you and I were having a conversation recently where we were trying to kind of break down this idea, and you mentioned the word resonance, and it occurred to me that that's actually a really good term to describe why this isn't a completely impossible task to determine when you've met your soulmate. And I was thinking about resonance in the physical sense. Anyone who's maybe taken a physics class and is familiar with the idea of periodic systems or harmonic oscillators, probably familiar with this idea of a pendulum is an example of, or at least an approximate example of a harmonic oscillator. And if you've pushed a child on a swing or seen a clock pendulum, you're kind of familiar with what happens. So I thought we'd use this really simple, cheap prop here to demonstrate what I'm talking about. And so if you imagine this pendulum as your personality, basically all of the things that make you tick, and you imagine that this has a natural frequency, a natural rate. You have a natural rate at that this represents kind of all those aspects of your personality. And if my hand up here is representing another person that you're interacting with, that
this
comes
hand up here,
this
right?
hand up here, this can act as a driving force. And if this driving force, if the frequency of this is perfectly matched to this natural frequency of the pendulum, it will cause the amplitude to increase really rapidly, and that effect is really obvious. If I move this hand at exactly the rate that this pendulum naturally ticks, then you can see the amplitude increase. And so if you have this driving force, this other person that is not quite matched to this natural frequency, that effect is really obvious too. I can move this hand, really pretty dramatically, but if the frequency isn't right, you don't get that same effect at all. So the point in showing that is just that it's not an impossible task to identify your soulmate, because you would potentially think that you have to meet everyone on the face of the planet, and you have to interact with billions of people in order to figure out when in fact you have met that person. But the effect is so obvious that maybe it's not immediately evident, but it will become so evident when you actually feel that, when you experience that resonance is undeniable.
Right.
And
yeah.
I don't know if you have maybe some ways in which that could be practically applied.
Well, I think for our situation, it's not like we had to go and date 5 more people after we met each other just to make sure that we were the right ones. It was obvious pretty early on, I would say, right? And what I love that physical demonstration. Let us know what you guys think too down below in the comment section. We love hearing from you. you can apply a lot of force. Your hand at the top, you can try and force something to happen or try and like make love work with someone because you just have strong feelings and you like them as a person, but it just doesn't go anywhere. It doesn't get off the ground. Versus if you're at that same frequency or wavelength, you don't have to apply much force, and it amplifies and resonates like with basically it's easy. And I think that's what it was with us. It felt easy, and we've always kind of just felt like we were on the same wavelength, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And you'll only feel that ease with exactly the right person. Just like that driving force has to be at exactly the frequency, not, even slightly off. It has to be perfectly matched. That ease will be evident because you're portraying your most, authentic self, and that's coming across from the other person, and that lends itself to this feeling of ease that is really obvious.
Yeah, I love that you mentioned your most authentic. So you just read my mind. I was going right there. I would imagine that both people need to kind of be their most authentic selves in order for this to work. I think you can't, if you're pretending anything, you can't keep that going forever. That's why my work is all about, it's not about games or manipulation tactics or strategies. It's about actually uncovering your most authentic self by removing the patterns of fear or behaviors that are actually covering up who you really are, right? So
Right.
I know when I'm slip into anxiety or fear, I don't worry about you ever going anywhere because I know how you feel about me, but I feel the most connected to him when I am being my most authentic self. The part of me that just knows that things are always working out, right? And not only for me, but for both of us, right? Or just everywhere. So when I'm connected to my true self, that's when I feel most connected to him. And I don't know if you can even tell the difference, but I'm sure you probably can feel the difference, right?
Yeah, it's definitely evident when your authentic self is coming across.
And I mean vice versa too. This really goes both ways. I know we received a comment or a question in the last video we posted, and it was someone asking how to meet your soulmate when you can't. Right now we're filming this in 2020. We're kind of in lockdown or quarantine, and there weren't very many. She was saying there weren't that many people. It's like she didn't want to go out and meet 100 men just to find the right one. So with this paradigm, you don't, right? It's like you vibrate at you could call it your highest frequency, or you being your most authentic self, and trusting that the right person is going to, it's like that like attracts like thing, right? They're just going to respond to that and be drawn to you. I'd love to hear your thoughts on that, by the way.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I agree that, like you said, I think one of the practical applications, especially in times where maybe it's not as easy to meet other people, is that you basically don't if you understand yourself and you know what that feeling is like, and I think probably more practically when you know that it's not like that, then it makes it a lot easier to not put time and energy into something that it will never work that way.
I'm so glad you read my mind again. The practical advice is, don't try and force, what's that phrase? Force a square peg into a round hole. I always mess up phrases, but don't try and force something to fit where it's just not flowing easily. Right? I understand the tendency to want to, force things and make this person the one because you have strong feelings for him. But if things aren't flowing easily, if you're constantly fighting or he's backed off or pulled away, and you would have to try and apply a lot of force, basically you can't do something to make love happen. You can apply as much force as possible, but if it's not, you guys aren't on the same wavelength, maybe the man in question here still has a lot of healing and work to do, and you're like, vibrating at your highest level possible. Has anyone ever been there? I know I hear from women all the time who are attracting, wounded energy men in their wounded feminine energy or their wounded masculine, and they're just trying so hard to help them and make things work and move things along, and it's just not, it doesn't feel easy. I think that's probably the word for this, other than resonance. It feels easy, it feels comfortable, it just feels like you can be more of yourself, and you don't feel like you have to do something or apply a lot of force or pressure to make love happen, because it just doesn't work that way, right?
Right.
Yeah. There was one other thing I wanted to share. I think the advice is moving on when it's not the fit, right? When it's not the right fit, not trying to force it or feel like you have to do something in order to make a man feel that way. I think it's there or it's not. I mean, that's my opinion. I would love to hear what you think.
Right. I mean, you may ask the question, occasionally perhaps you feel something that you think is this. You feel something that, you would consider to be kind of along the lines of this resonance, but then maybe that person pulls away or something like that. And I think that if you really feel this, if you really understand what this resonant effect is like, then that simply won't happen. I mean, that concern really isn't there. So
that's what I was going to ask you. It's amazing how you're just reading my mind right now. The question I would imagine a lot of women would say, or the comment they would make was, well, I had this, but then I lost it. I felt this with a man, but then he pulled away. And I think you answered that, is just with the right man. If a man truly feels that, 9 times out of 10, he's not going to jeopardize his opportunity to be with you. He's not going to risk losing you just because he's kind of busy right now or he has other things going on, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. The right man's going to see you, know who you are, and he's not going to risk, losing you, having you drop out of his life, right? Yeah.
I agree.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we'd love to hear your thoughts on this. We just wanted to make a quick video for you guys today explaining this, because I know in some of the live stream we did or some of our other videos, we just said, well, we know, and it's just kind of a feeling or a knowing, but we wanted to really break it down and demonstrate it in a way you can see, and hopefully this resonates with you guys. So let us know what you think down below in the comments, and any other topic suggestions or questions or ideas for videos. We love making videos together. At least I do. Hopefully you do too. Yeah. So we love you guys. Thank you so much for watching this video all the way till the end. Make sure to give it a like, leave us a comment down below, and we will see you next time.